The Philadelphia Eagles are playing an international game. We talk about it here on this episode of Eagles Latest. What's up, everybody? Cory Nidoh with you. And there was another schedule leak that came out last night regarding the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was also confirmed to be accurate. And the Philadelphia Eagles are heading across the pond to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in the London game later this season. It will be a Week 5 game, October 11th, as they play the residential team for the NFL in London, if you will, in the Jacksonville Jaguars. It seems like Jacksonville is always playing over in London over the last couple of years, and the Eagles will now join them. The two teams played each other in London back in 2018, and Philadelphia will have an international game on their schedule this season. So we know that there's two confirmed games on the schedule ahead of tomorrow's NFL schedule release show. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more leaks coming out today prior to the show, but the Eagles do have an international game. And at least for the Eagles fans, it's not a home game that they will lose like they did a couple years ago when they had to play in Brazil. But nonetheless, the Eagles will be going over to London, and there's going to be trips for fans to go out and take in the experience of an international game, and I would expect the Eagles fans to flock over to London in large numbers as they typically do wherever the team plays. So Eagles, Jaguars, Week 5 in London. And we also know that the Eagles have the Thanksgiving Day game, or one of the three, I should say, against Dallas. And I was thinking out loud yesterday, put this on my Twitter. I'm trying to think of what could be potential season opening games for Philadelphia. Now, the Eagles have played away from Lincoln Financial Field in 4 of the last 5 years to open up a season. Last season was their only home game during that 5-year stretch when they took on Dallas. Ended up winning after a lengthy rain delay, actually. Was there to cover the game, and it was a weird situation. Both teams really didn't do much after the rain delay, and the Eagles were able to squeak out a win. So I was thinking maybe they will be treated with another home game because of that stretch, and perhaps the NFL will keep it within the NFC East, and the Washington Commanders could come into town to open up the 2026 season. The Eagles have to play Washington twice. Washington has a road game against, the other road game for the Eagles is an international game for Washington. They are the home team there, so I don't think that's going to happen. And with the Eagles going to London, I would be very, very shocked that the league makes one of the top teams in the league go over to London or overseas in general twice for that matter. So I think Washington maybe could be a solution or an answer. They've played 3 times to open up a season, 2017, 2019, and 2020. I don't think they want a divisional game in London. As I mentioned, they already have a London game against Jacksonville. The Eagles did open up with an NFC East rifle last year, as I mentioned. So Washington could possibly be an answer. Arizona, maybe. To me, that's just a blah game. Really no interesting storylines. Arizona is stripping the whole thing down and trying to build it back up. Should be a relatively easy win for Philadelphia to start the season. Another possible intriguing matchup could be Philadelphia heading down to Nashville, Tennessee to take on the Titans. Brian Daboll, obviously on the coaching staff. He, of course, turned down the offensive coordinating job for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts versus Cam Ward, that could kind of be a somewhat intriguing storyline. And Philadelphia hasn't opened the season on the road against an AFC team since 2023 when they visited the New England Patriots. So maybe the Titans will be an early week matchup. And then I thought maybe Chicago on the road. 2 cold weather teams. It probably might be saved for a later on type of game where the snow might be a factor, and it could be a really interesting game in that regard. Or the NFL wants 2 up and coming, well, not even up and coming. The Eagles have been there, but the Bears are really turning things around. They beat Philadelphia in Philadelphia rather handedly last year. So maybe they put together two teams with playoff expectations against one another to kick off the week one slate to have some smash mouth football, if you will, to open up the season. So those are my four potential guesses. Let me know your thoughts. Obviously, I'm not entirely sure where the NFL will be leading, but I do think a couple of those might make some sense. So the Eagles, though, again, do have two games on their schedule confirmed: Thanksgiving Day and then London against Jacksonville. Now we're going to kick it out over to some player talk here, and we're going to kind of highlight a breakout player once every episode, maybe have a full-on episode of some breakout players that I think can take a next step for the Philadelphia Eagles. And my pick today is Jihad Campbell. I really, really like this kid. He has a great head on his shoulders. He handled the demotion, if you will, when Jacoby Dean came back very, very well. He started off really well. You know, he obviously dropped down because of some injury concerns. The Eagles weren't too concerned about it, scooped him up at pick 30, and he was an immediate impact player. He had to fill in for the first month plus of the season, made some big plays, helped them seal a win against Dallas, helped them seal a win against Tampa Bay. And after the first month, he was one of the front runners to be the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now, of course, he had to take a back seat once Nakobe Dean came back. Dean more of a veteran presence, more of a pass rusher than Campbell is at this point in his young career. But Campbell was able to handle it with grace, and he's got a great head on his shoulders. The Eagles put him in between Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond in the locker room for a reason, and I think Campbell just became a sponge. He had a great relationship with Dean. He had a great relationship with Bond. And now this year, I think Jihad Campbell will have a big-time sophomore season for the Philadelphia Eagles. As a rookie last year, he did appear in all 17 games, made 10 starts, had one interception. That interception, of course, coming against Tampa Bay. He had one forced fumble, one fumble recovery. Did not have a sack, but was able to be disruptive in the run game and in the pass game, generating some stuffs and some pressures. And he finished with 80 total tackles on the season, a couple of TFLs, and one QB hit. So not a bad rookie season at all, especially since after the first month of the year, he took a back seat and was kind of a rotational player in that linebacking core for the Philadelphia Eagles once Nakobe Dean returned from his injury. Now, of course, the biggest thing for Jihad Campbell will be his health. He's coming off a shoulder surgery that Vic Fangio confirmed back in March that might possibly force Campbell to miss some of the team's offseason workouts. And again, this is what is kind of the red flag for Campbell. This is why he was dropping in that draft a couple years ago, 2 years ago now. And if he can be healthy, if he can stay on the field, then this is going to be a home run pick for Philadelphia. Now, of course, that's a rather big if, but again, Campbell did show that he could play even through an injury. He was banged up a little bit during the season last year. Obviously, you don't want that to always happen because that could diminish his production. You can turn something minor into major in terms of an injury, but this young man is a tough guy. He's very smart, has high football IQ, and he was able to just be a plug-and-play player at a certain point last year despite being a rookie. So expect big things from Jihad Campbell. I really think that this season he's going to have a big-time year. I think this defense is going to be great. You've got the addition of Jonathan Grenard. Obviously, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis is back. Zach Bond is still around. The secondary should be really good. So I do think that this Eagles defense will be very, very good once again under Vic Fangio, who may be coaching for his last season. That remains to be seen, but that is certainly a storyline that we will be following all season long. So Jihad Campbell is my breakout player, or one of my breakout players for the Eagles this season. Would love to know your thoughts. You think that he could have a bigger year than he did as a rookie? And what are your expectations for Campbell moving forward? As always, I appreciate you tuning in. Let me know, what do you think about the London game? Are you happy? Do you not want the Eagles to be playing overseas? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. It's the Eagles and the Jaguars in week 5 for that London game. And of course, the Eagles have the holiday game on Thanksgiving. And we'll see if there's any more schedule leaks that come out leading up to the NFL schedule release show that comes out tomorrow at 8 o'clock on NFL Network. We will know the entire schedule tomorrow, and then we will start doing predictions, because why not? It is a slow time right now in the NFL, and that's the fun part when the schedule comes out, is you kind of try and piecemeal and figure out what your favorite team will do in the regular season in terms of wins and losses. The Eagles are pegged to win another 11 games according to most lines on most sports books. So, and they have the top 10 schedule in terms of strength of schedule. So that could bode well for Philadelphia, even though they were a division winner a year ago. It is usually rare to see a team have such an easy schedule on paper in terms of winning percentage from a year ago, but that's what the Eagles have heading into 2026. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. Drop a like, drop a comment. I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts on the 2 games that we are known to have been confirmed, and let me know who you think the Eagles should play on the week 1 kickoff to the season. You think it should be Washington, Tennessee, Chicago, Arizona, or another team you think that could make logical sense? We'd love to hear from you. As always, this is Eagles Latest. Drop a like, drop a comment, hit that subscribe button, and take Eagles Latest on the go. We are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and if you're so kind, drop a 5-star review. It would mean a lot to me and the pod as well. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you tomorrow.